Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak about the same topic that Senator Brown just spoke to, and I appreciate what my colleague from Ohio brought to this brought to the Senate floor today, talking about trade. I want to especially commend him for not just his advocacy and his passion for standing up for workers, but for the persuasive case he makes against some of our trade policies, not just now, but over time. We stand now poised to debate something that a set of issues which we really haven't debated all that much in the 8 years that I've been in the U.S. Senate. In this case, first Trade Promotion Authority, and then, of course, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The people that I represent in Pennsylvania know what's at stake here. We're going to have a chance, each of us, as the American people will, to review the details of these proposals. But just based upon past experience with trade agreements in our lifetime, and especially the last 25 years, that past experience causes me concerns, and really grave concerns about what's in store, first and foremost for our workers, which of course means our economy. Time and again, Pennsylvania workers and Pennsylvania businesses of all sizes have ended up with the short end of the stick on trade deals. The question they ask now is, what's in it for them? What's in it for workers? What's in it for companies across Pennsylvania and across the country? And therefore, what's in it for all of us when it comes to our economic bottom line? Take the free trade agreement with South Korea just as a recent example. That was passed in 2011. I didn't support it. But here's what we were told before that. In December of 2010, the administration said the agreement would support 70,000 additional American jobs, and it would increase American exports by $10 to $11 billion. However, what do we see? During the first 2 years that the agreement took effect, exports actually fell by $3.1 billion. Imports grew by $5.6 billion, contributing to the loss of thousands of jobs. So that's one agreement, one example. Let's take the impact on a particular industry, the steel industry. By any measure, any review of World War II would indicate very clearly that the American steel industry and steel workers played a substantial role in our ability to win World War II, to prevail in the most difficult of conflicts. And what's happened since then? Well, we know that, for example, import surges from South Korea have caused real damage to the steel industry in recent years, which has led directly to job losses in places like Pennsylvania, just for example. So workers want to know where's the benefit that's promised to them? Over and over again, we hear assertions of, if we pass this agreement, this will be the impact on exports and imports. If we pass this agreement, this will be the net benefit to job creation and therefore to workers. And too often, the result is otherwise. If you look at the numbers, if you look at an agreement, if you look at an industry, and then you look at the numbers, in the United States, we had a $66.5 billion deficit with free trade agreement partners in 2013. Our trade balance with our largest free trade agreement partners, Canada, Mexico, and Korea, is decidedly negative, not positive. So how is this time going to be different? I'm concerned, a lot of Americans are concerned, that past experience suggests broadly negative impacts on jobs, especially, as Senator Brown made reference to by way of the chart and in other ways, especially as it relates to manufacturing jobs. The ones that you can support a family on, the jobs that lead to the kind of innovation that allows us to be one step ahead of the world. The Economic Policy Institute, for example, estimates that 26,300 jobs were lost due to the trade deficit with Mexico between 1994 and 2011, in the aftermath of NAFTA, as Senator Brown referred to. 122,600 jobs were lost to China in the 12 years since China joined the World Trade Organization. Between these two countries alone, Pennsylvania, the adverse impact to Pennsylvania was some 100,048 jobs lost in Pennsylvania. So you lose almost 150,000 jobs in Pennsylvania, directly attributable to two factors: the impact of China joining the World Trade Organization and the impact of the trade deficit with Mexico. So when you look at the big picture, we have two possible areas of concern with so-called TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and by proxy, the Trade Promotion Authority that's part of that. Labor and human rights concerns, as well as currency manipulation. So when members of Congress and labor groups across the country express concerns about the so-called TPP in the countries that we're negotiating with, in particular Malaysia, Vietnam, Brunei, and Mexico. Give you an example of Vietnam, just start with that. Vietnam does not allow for the establishment of independent labor unions and has opposed the inclusion of any provision that would change this aspect of domestic laws. The State Department has noted that basic labor freedoms are often restricted by in both Mexico and Malaysia. And Brunei has recently implemented a harsh form of Sharia law that violates basic human rights standards. How about currency manipulation? American manufacturers feel the pain from undervalued foreign currencies all the time, and they've time and again demanded action from both parties in both houses here in Congress. Currency manipulation in the TPP concerns are urgent, not just because of Japan's policies and the potential future inclusion of China in TPP down the road, but also because virtually every negotiating partner has a currency that is undervalued relative to the dollar. Every partner in the proposed TPP. January of this year, according to The Economist, 10 of the U.S.'s 11 negotiating partners had undervalued currency. 7 of those countries, including Japan, had currencies that were at least 25% undervalued relative to the dollar. So for far too long, this administration has allowed foreign countries to stack the deck when it comes to currency policy, stack the deck against U.S. workers by manipulating their currency depending on what country it is. We have a chance in the TPP negotiations to do something about it. We believe, all of us believe, that our workers can outcompete any workers in the world if they're given the chance, if they're given basic fairness and a level playing field. Pennsylvanians, I believe, want Congress and the administration to focus on policies that lead to both good jobs and good wages. So let's give our workers the kind of support that we gave them in past generations. Give our workers a level playing field so that they can outcompete and therefore outproduce any workers in the world. I'm afraid these agreements are not a step in that direction, and I would yield the floor.